Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Morning After Recap Show brought to you by irishsportsdaily.com. I am Greg Flammang, and it is the morning after Notre Dame's 28-7 victory over Boise State in a flag-filled contest that was dominated by Notre Dame's defense. They were able to turn the tides on the season, in a sense that the reason Notre Dame was able to pull away at the end, right? And I think that this, in many ways, is better than a performance something like 49-28, which is also a 21-point victory. But for the defense to be able to hold off Boise State for most of the game and getting into the end zone, I think that's a huge development for Notre Dame's defense. That's a good staff over there at Boise State. Boise State is not a good football team relative to Notre Dame, but they are a good football team in the spectrum of college football. So that's a good performance. They had a seasoned quarterback, and they had him in knots. They tied him in knots all game. So great performance by the defense. The Notre Dame running backs, again, Jadarian Price and Jeremiyah Love combined 24 carries for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it was an off performance from CJ Carr, but Notre Dame was able to pull away and get the victory on a day when not a lot of college football teams were able to do that. So we're going to talk about all those things. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, of course, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So whenever it is, we are going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. Notre Dame has reloaded their defense, and you can reload your wardrobe with the perfect suit, sport coat, tuxedo, or casual jacket for the rest of fall and into winter. ESQ's master tailors combine next-level craftsmanship with the finest fabrics to deliver a fit that's built just for you. Now with showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. CFB Hertz lighting up the chat early with a super chat. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Didn't have a chance to join yesterday's post-game stream. If that's what a freshman moment game looks like for CJ Carr, then Notre Dame is in good shape. What a game for the defense. Yes, CJ Carr was off on a lot of throws, most notably a walk-in, not even a walk-in touchdown, just catch it and stand in the end zone touchdown for Will Pauling. That was missed. Obviously, he knows he missed it, and obviously everyone knows he missed it, and it wasn't a good pass. But he had a couple moments there where he also had some errant throws. But, for the day, you don't want to kill him too much. He's 15-23, 189 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 65% completion percentage, 162.9 quarterback rating. Jordan Faison, for his part, 6 catches, 83 yards on 7 targets. So, I mean, I don't want to say he's wide receiver 1 right now, but he's definitely performing. He leads the team with catches at 25 catches, 17 for Malachi Fields. So things really rounding into form, Jordan Faison. And look, I think the big picture view of this is, I think when Boise State goes down to make it 7-6, and first of all, when Notre Dame's like not dropping extra points, when they're kicking it low on extra points, and you kind of get that feeling, right? And I think when Boise State makes it 7-6, Notre Dame's dominated the game. Got about 180 yards of total offense. Boise State to that point had like 90 something. And Notre Dame's at 7.5 yards per play. Boise State's at about 4.8, I think it was. You start to get that feeling, right? You start to get that, well, we've seen this game before. I know I was definitely thinking that. I've seen this game a number of times. Notre Dame's the better team. They let the lesser team hang around, and now they're losing the game. And I think at that point, the offense says, no. Like, we've been messing around. We're going to pick up the defense, right? The defense has been shutting them down for the whole half. The offense goes down and scores a touchdown. Defense pays it off with a stop. Then coming out of halftime, defense pays it off with a stop. And Notre Dame goes down and scores a touchdown on the first drive of the second half. It goes from 7-6 down to 21-7 up with the 2-point conversion after the second touchdown. And they took control of the game. And that's a great sign for Notre Dame's defense. It's a great sign for Notre Dame's offense. It's like, hey, we're not going to continue to shoot ourselves in the foot and lose this game because we can't get the ball into the end zone, right? Notre Dame obviously had a number of chances to score touchdowns before that, and they kind of messed it up on their own. That wasn't a referee situation yet. So I think for the defense to continue to hold them off and to pay off the offense, making their run and making their move to go up 2 scores, that's important, right? It's great for the team when the 2 units are complementing each other like that. It does a lot for the sideline. It does a lot for the trust of, the offense was scuffling. The defense picks them up. The defense gave up a drive. Offense says, hey, we got you. We're gonna take care of this. And they did. Then the defense took care of it, and everything's good. So it's a great sign for the team and the way that a team is built. So yeah, it was a good performance, and everyone should be excited about the strides that the defense is making, because we know the offense is good. We know the offense can move the ball. That's a known thing. They've played the best against like Miami's defense, for example. They've really and that was their first game. Obviously, they moved the ball on Texas A&M, who no one else has moved the ball on Texas A&M like Notre Dame has. So they know they have the offense. The defense is able to pay it off, and that's a big deal. We'll get more into the defense as this show gets going. Chris Wall says, does anyone know if those refs got demoted to Pee Wee yet? And Craig D says Pee Wee parents would run him out of town. That's probably true. It's not. It wasn't good. It was really bad. And I think we've all watched football enough to kind of understand, like, if you want to call something, that something we heard a lot yesterday was letter of the law. Obviously, all officiating is subjective, right? On a lot of things. Like, look, a false starts or not, right? So if a team's jumping early, they're jumping early, you call it, right? I think officiating in a lot of instances is subjective. Holding is subjective. Pass interference is subjective. Roughing the passer is subjective. I mean, these things are, when you have 24 combined penalties, 224 yards of penalties. I mean, it's every play. Notre Dame hasn't had this all year, not even close to this. Boise State's a highly penalized team, but they have 8 a game. They don't have 14, It's just you're doing something wrong there, and you're calling it in a way that just kind of ruins the game. And you got to be better than that. This is high-level college football. This is a billion-dollar industry. When you have an industry in a business as big as college football is, the product cannot be that. The entire conversation of the second half cannot be calls over and over again, right? You can look at each individual call and say, like, hey, is this technically right? Is it or is it not? Can the referee make a case that, yeah, it's roughing the passer on KVA because he touched the quarterback's head with his open hand as he's going by him? Sure. Is there something in the rules that says, sure. You want to say that Jason Onye is landing with his full body weight on a player when he's not driving him into the ground? He literally just hits him and falls forward. It doesn't need to be called. Offensive pass interference. A lot of the holdings I didn't like. And this is going for Boise State as well. Boise State had some situations where it's like, I don't know if I like that call. You don't need to be calling that. Let the game happen. Let the game play. They didn't do that. It was bad. I mean, everyone's talking about it. It was the talk of Twitter for about, 20 minutes. So it's not good. And so it is what it is. Isaac K says, I almost broke the TV when Jason Garrett said in reference to Madsen, I got 2 words for you, moxie. So it's like see, the thing with Dan Hicks, when he's calling the game, he's he does their golf coverage, and the golf is like very narrative driven. You're telling a story because of the nature of how golf is played and how that sport is kind of covered. It's the same thing with Notre Dame. Like, it's a football game, right? You don't need to be telling a narrative storyline as the game goes on. Just call the game, man. Like, you call the game, analyze the game. Jason Garrett he's not good. I can't. Yeah, Chris Wallace says he threw 4 picks. Moxie. Why do they got to do this with the moxie stuff? He's like a 5th-year quarterback or whatever. Like, treat him like a big boy. Let's see. NV Irish says the refs threw a flag on me for delay a game. Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I think I did. And you said I tweeted during the game. There should be a penalty, 15-yard penalty for throwing the ball at Leonard Moore, which is funny. Marcus Freeman says, like, he said during the week, Leonard Moore can make a difference for us. We think he can impact the game. Yeah, I think so. I think he can. I agree. Good analysis from Marcus Freeman. 2 interceptions from Leonard Moore. Some of the most crazy decisions from the quarterback to throw. Like, because first of all, he's covered. Like, you have to know. I mean, it's not like Leonard Moore made this like crazy good play, catch up speed. The guy was covered. No, like, he's standing right there. Stop throwing him in the ball. Like, stop throwing the ball at Leonard Moore. But Notre Dame fans will take it. Randall Lucas or Luca, I'll say Randall L for the sake of this. I got married on the day of FSU 2014. I think I did myself a favor that day. My first daughter was born. It's kind of a famous story. My first daughter was born the day before, and there was like a slight complication. So she was in the NICU for the game. And so we were going back and forth to the NICU. I was on no sleep, literally. And I was delirious during that game. And when the pass was caught by Corey Robinson, I thought she was the chosen, like the descendant from heaven to save Notre Dame football. That is not what happened. That is not how it went. And I was like, as I was wheeling my wife to the NICU, I was stopping strangers in the hallway to tell them that Notre Dame got screwed. Obviously, people have no idea what I'm talking about because it's a hospital in, the birthing, the mother's area. So maybe I was a little unhinged that day, but I was not wrong. Byron Boyce says, is Tay Johnson our next savage secondary player that could be a first-team All-American and play in the league with first or second-round pick potential? Yes, he is. Here's the thing about him is, A, there's the playmaking. B, there's the size and the athleticism and all those things. C, I put out the tweet, and this is kind of remarkable, actually, as someone who didn't play a ton of football. Didn't play a ton of safety in high school. And didn't really play safety last year. They had moved him to the boundary. Last year he was repping at boundary corner. When he came into the game in blowouts against Florida State and teams like that, he was playing corner. So he wasn't even playing safety. 276 safety snaps, 19 tackles. He's 7th on the team, but he's 7 behind the leader Schuler. So 1 through 7 is very compacted in terms of total tackles. 276 snaps, or it might be 267. Either way, that's a lot of snaps. 0 missed tackles for Tay Johnson. He's got a knack for tackling. So it's like, if you're not missing tackles and your assignment sound and you have range and you have size and you're a playmaker, that's all the ingredients that you're looking for a top level safety. He is ascended. Marcus Freeman said after the game, like, he earned his starting spot. And I think that is a situation where, like, Jalen Stroman obviously has a weakness playing deep middle and covering the hashes and the deep ball, right? So there's a weakness there, but also you can't deny Tay Johnson. I mean, if he's not busting coverages, why wouldn't you have him out there? He's the better player. And the credit to Marcus Freeman, credit to Mike Mickens for saying, hey, whether they were late or not in getting to this point, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It is what it is. But he is there. He played better, and he earned a starting spot. He played 77 of the 78 snaps yesterday. And that is the case across the board since Texas A&M. He is their main safety with Adon Schuler. Like, there is no timeshare there. He is the man at that safety position. CFB Hertz says the energy in the stadium was definitely off. I think that heat really got to the crowd. I think it was a record heat day for October. I had some friends who went to the game who said it was 85 degrees, and it's like a record for the month of October. So it was a hot one. It was definitely a hot one. Randall L says the constant play stoppages due to flags didn't help. I'm sure it didn't. Dan Arcuri says, Greg, looks like Freeman has made changes to the defense. Simplified scheme to let players play fast. Also looks like some of exotic blitzes Golden did our back. Won't overreact until we do it against a better team. So I don't want to I don't want to just say like Freeman. Like I think it's we have to be fair. Chris Ash is the defensive coordinator, so he has made like the changes that are made, and whether obviously if Freeman went in and said this is what it needs to be, then that's what it is. He's the head coach, but like Chris Ash still has to make the calls, and he's making the right calls. And he made the right calls against Arkansas. He made the right calls against Boise State. And in the second half of that Purdue game, they I don't want to say he made the right calls there. I will say just Arkansas and Boise State. Like it's a clear difference in the way the game is being called. Right now, Marcus Freeman also deserves credit because he is the head coach, and it's his job to make sure that these things get fixed. Right. So, we talk about blame a lot. We talk about responsibility. It's Marcus Freeman's ultimate responsibility, and then that goes to Chris Ash. Right. So people who listen to this show know I don't use the word blame that often. I just talk about responsibilities. It's Freeman's ultimate responsibility to make sure the team and one of their units, right, being the defense, is up to snuff and is playing to the standard that he wants, right? It's also on Chris Ash to make those changes. And he has made those changes in terms of getting the linebackers more involved, getting them in more man coverages, right? A big part of this that I've been talking about is getting the right players on the field, getting like Dallas Golden out there, getting Tay Johnson out there. KVA, he led the linebackers in snaps for the first time. And everyone says, I put him in instead of Drake Bowen. Drake Bowen was second on the team in snaps at the linebacker position. They can play together. And that's my thing. Find the way to get your best players on the field together more often, right? They're getting Gabe Rubio on the field more often. Right. And obviously, and they've also gotten increasingly good play from Boubacar Traore, not just rushing the passer, but also rush defense. So all of these things are kind of playing into the defense playing better. I think a part of it is Chris Ash getting used to the college game again, getting used to this roster. And I think the first couple of games, we mentioned it on the post game yesterday, he got unlucky. I mean, people are going to give Miami for number one team in the country votes in the AP. I mean, might be the best team in the country right now. Notre Dame had to play them in week 1 on the road. They lost by 3, then they go to Texas A&M. Texas A&M, top 10 team, top 5 team in the country, right? You got to play them in week 2. So it might have been unfortunate for him in terms of timing and figuring out his roster and things of that nature, but it's getting figured out right now. I don't want to say they're a made product. We got to see him. I mean, NC State has a good offense. They don't have a good defense. They have a good offense. USC obviously has a good offense, right? That's going to be a test for them, but it's trending in the right direction. And I think that's what everyone should want, right? There's chatter about, I hope XYZ happens so that they get rid of Chris Ash. I don't have a problem with Chris Ash. I don't care if he turns it around and Notre Dame is giving up less than 20 points a game for the rest of the season, then great. Let him continue to do the job. Doesn't matter to me. I don't have a problem with him. It's just got to get figured out, though. Thank you for the super chat, Wellington Davies. Carr had a super game. He handed the ball off perfectly, and the pump fake was highlight worthy. Yeah, I mean, just after I tweeted, stop keeping the ball on run play on RPOs, he runs for 28 yards or whatever it was, which was not good. But I don't like him keeping the ball on RPOs. Hand the ball to your running backs. Jadarian Price and Jeremiyah Love. More touches, and look at he trusts his read or whatever. It was the right read on the 28-yarder. But like he's got a 28-yard run and he has 3 carries for 25. So the other 2 go for -3. So I guess if it's going to be boom or bust, but it's 24 carries for Love and Price, 186 yards for those 2 guys, 8.4 yards a carry, which is good. You will take that every single time. Thank you for the super chat, Wellington Davies. I appreciate your attendance. Isaac K says no Wi-Fi at the venue is a major L. Is that true? There's no Wi-Fi at Notre Dame Stadium? That can't be right. That can't be right. Drew Payment. Thank you, Drew. Marcus Freeman had a good comment about being respectful towards the refs, like he knew this group. But how does the league let one crew call games so differently than others? Yeah, I mean, it's obviously something that's got to be, they got to get that figured out. Credit to Freeman. Like, he always gets mad in the moment, and then afterwards, he doesn't continue. He always just kind of says, like, hey, I'm fighting for my guys or whatever. In the moment, he goes after them. In the post game, I've never really heard him go after a referee. I don't know that I've ever heard him criticize referee decisions in the post game ever, which is smart, right? And it goes along with kind of his MO of just like, hey, Notre Dame's we got to take care of our own stuff, right? And we're not going to worry about referees. But that's a good thing. Charles Faber. Greg and Jamie, you are the best pod around. Always fair and smart analysis. Just dropping by to let you know your work is appreciated. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate you, Charles, for your nice comments. I hope you have a good Sunday. I love the clips on Twitter. Yeah, a lot of people do. We'll hopefully get to more of those this week. Show you guys what's going around. Isaac K says, I thought Snead played well when he was out there. Yes, he doesn't play that many snaps, but when he plays the snaps, he's ready to go. And that's something I appreciate in kind of every player, where it's like it seems like of the four, he's losing snaps to Madden Framo, who almost had, a very nice interception yesterday, but he dropped it. He's got his hand wrapped too, so obviously that makes it difficult for him to catch the ball. But he had a nice rep. But Jalen Snead comes in and he's ready to make plays, and that's a good teammate. That is a leader. You talk about leadership, like that is leadership. It's easy to be a leader when you're an older player and you're getting a ton of snaps or whatever it might be. It's not easy to be a leader when you're not getting as many snaps as you want. But when you come in and you're prepared and you're ready to play well and you're ready to take advantage of your snaps, that's leadership. And it's the type of leadership that a team needs if it's going to be anything, and because if you got an older player pouting about his time, then that permeates the locker room and that filters down to the other players, the younger players specifically. But when you see someone like Jalen Snead, who's a senior, and let me get his exact snap count for you guys so I can add a good amount of context to this conversation. When you have a senior, Jalen Snead gets 24 snaps out of, I think it was 78, right? Obviously, he wants more. And obviously, he could feel like he deserves more. And maybe he does feel like that, but he's in there making plays. So credit to him. I'm upset about the interception that gets taken away. I think he deserved the interception. It was a great play. I think Jason Onye deserved to pressure the quarterback and have that be an interception, be a nice moment for him. Instead, it turned into a negative moment. And I think that's part of why Marcus Freeman was so upset as well. It's like, man, my guy's out there playing hard and he's playing fair, and you're flagging him. And now it's a negative for him and for Jalen Snead. And so he's upset about that. And he wants to fight for his guys. So good for them. Matthew Sievers, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you being here today. Thanks for the great content. You and Jamie spoke briefly on the recap last night about edge contain. It was excellent discipline on boot play action for the ends. Best edge play of the season by far. Yes, that's a great call, Matthew, about Jordan Botelho. I thought Bryce Young did an exceptionally good job on that front as well. Bubakar was playing the edge very well as well. Josh Burnham got in there for some of those edge plays. Like, it's important, and it's discipline, and it's coaching, and it's taking the coaching, and it's being aware of your assignment, right? Assignment sound stuff. The staples that we saw from Notre Dame's defense last year showed up in this game. Right. And they showed up against Arkansas as well. So there's 2 straight games where it's like, hey, you're starting to see a well-coached, disciplined football team that's playing fast, that's playing violent, the way that Marcus Freeman's always talking about. I mean, Tate Johnson's throwing guys around. Jordan Botelho's knocking guys around. He doesn't even know that he's decleating running backs. Bubakar Traore is playing fast and violent. The linebackers are able to blitz and get into the backfield. And Drake Boland's getting a sack, and Jay Nosberry's getting a sack, and KVA's getting a sack. Like, these are the things that we saw from Notre Dame's defense that we all appreciated. And it's good to see, right? It's got to continue as always, but it's good to see that it's in there, because I think when you start poorly, you got to get it on tape, and Notre Dame's gotten it on tape, and that's a good thing. David Reynoso says Boubacar was unstoppable. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He had, I think it was. Let me go back and find my tweet on it, because he had a bunch of run stops. The run stops is where I think it's kind of showing up for me, because it's one thing to be a pass rusher, to be an edge guy. 26 run stops for the Notre Dame defense. Team leading 4 from Boubacar Traore. 15 run stops this year for Boubacar Traore. So again, it's one thing to be a pass rusher, edge guy. It's another thing you got to step in there on the run game, and he's doing that. Ed S says Jason Garrett is not good, but I detected even from him some sympathy for Notre Dame regarding the officiating. He actually mildly criticized several of the penalties. He did. You could tell. And the officiating rules guy, Reggie Smith, I think is his name. They brought him in. He did the thing where it's like, when you look at this, it's kind of ticky-tack. Maybe you don't need to call it. I'm not sure I see it there. Like, he did that a lot yesterday. And that's kind of how you know. David Reynoso says Tay Kyle Hamilton 2.0. The thing about Kyle Hamilton is that there's one Kyle Hamilton, and that's okay, right? Tay doesn't have to be Kyle Hamilton. But I see you have a Ravens thing. End the season, David, as far as the Ravens go. Obviously, I've been a lifelong fan since 2022, and it's a disgrace. John Harbaugh, please leave. Please exit. Please exit. Get Mike McDonald in here. I can't continue to watch my beautiful boy Kyle Hamilton just be wasted. It's no good. So I need him to exit immediately. CFB Hertz says Tay's double leg takedown was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, he's a violent player. I mean, he is. And you know what? There's edge. He's got some edge, right? Because when they threw down Leonard Moore, who was stepping up right immediately and getting in the face of the guy, right? That's Tay Johnson. And he's got a few of those. I'll tell you something else, too. I'll tell you something else about Tay Johnson, right? He only played 9 snaps against Miami. On the first touchdown against Carson Hobbs, he goes over, and this is such a small thing, but like to me, when I saw it, I was like, man, there's something here. He goes over to Carson Hobbs, and he gets in his face in like a we got you, it's okay kind of way. And he cleans the grass out of there's grass in his face mask on like the top. And it's like, hey, I'm not letting my boy walk around with grass in his thing. I'm taking care of my guy. And I'm going to clean the grass up. And like, I know it's nothing, but to me, it's something. And to a team, it's something. When you say, hey, my guy, he doesn't even play. Like at that time, Tay Johnson, not really, he played 9 snaps. But it's like, I'm in there. Hey, my boy, I'm not letting my boy go into the dumps, and I'm not letting him walk around with grass in his face mask. I'm taking the grass out because it wasn't like it was in his face. He could have just left it, but he didn't. I'm going to make sure he looks right. I'm going to make sure my boy looks right. I'm getting the grass out. It matters. I'm telling you, little stuff like that matters. And it shows a lot about the type of person, the type of teammate that Tay Johnson is, in my opinion. We got David Reynoso, another comment. Thank you, David. Pauling. Will Pauling, talking about Will Pauling. He had a great game. Robert Hallecky says, great to see the wide receivers. Fields catching the ball at his highest point is a delight. Yes. I mean, they've really got something out of the portal with Will Pauling and Malachi Fields. I think Malachi Fields has been everything that they've kind of been looking for. So that's great to see, obviously. And then Will Pauling, I mean, he plays with fire. He plays with urgency. And so, he's going to continue to get snaps when Jaden Greathouse gets back from his thigh injury or whatever the actual injury is. Envy Irish says, what was the havoc rate? Is there a breakdown by position? I think Jamie will have that. Check out irishsportsdaily.com and his write-up. He will have the havoc rates. He tracks that throughout the game. But it was certainly high. I mean, you have tackles for loss in this one. Let me see, tackles for loss. Let me just check. Game log. 4 tackles for loss for Notre Dame in this game. They forced a fumble. I don't know if that counts as havoc rate, forcing a fumble. 4 interceptions obviously matters. You got some pass breakups as well. So it's like that's havoc, right? Let me see if I can get the game log. Passes broken up, 2 passes broken up in this game. So, the havoc rate's got to be a lot higher, especially from the linebacker position, which we were talking about specifically. So that's a big deal. Drew Payment says, do you think Notre Dame should play less nickel with Smith hurt again? You can't. Like against NC State, they're going to be in 11 a lot. You have to play. They're just going to play Dallas Golden. I mean, yesterday he played excuse me. Yesterday, Dallas Golden played 54 snaps. I mean, he played 1 less snap than Drake Bowen did, right? He played 8 less snaps than Adon Schuler did. I mean, they're comfortable playing Dallas Golden at this point. He's going to be on the field a lot. I don't know what the exact injury is to Devontae Smith, but if it's a calf, then that's soft tissue, and they just pulled him from the game. So that's. To me, when you have a soft tissue injury and it's like early in the game, you're just out, that's not good, right? That trends in the wrong direction for a player. You don't want that. You don't want a guy just leaving the game with a soft tissue. So I think that's going to be a little bit, I think USC is in doubt just on the facts of the matter. And Makai Lemon is that's going to be a problem. I like Dallas Golden, but it's kind of like, I mean, it'd be kind of like, like Mark Zachary starting against like Jeremiah Smith or something. I like Mark Zachary and I like Dallas Golden. Makai Lemon might win the Biletnikoff this year, so he's a seriously good player. But we're monitoring that situation. Charles Faber says Ash had no feel for his players, but seems like he figured it out. Look at PSU. A new DC is always a problem. I made this point yesterday with Jamie on the post game. Like, whatever you want to say about Chris Ash, right? It is what it is. Penn State hired the home run of the cycle in Jim Knowles. Took him from Ohio State. Home run of the cycle. 42 points. Against a team that has never led prior to yesterday. UCLA never led a football game prior to yesterday. Gave up 42 points, 280 yards rushing. This is your big high. A terrible loss. Because here's the thing. It was 27-7 at halftime. And the Penn State offense then woke up and started scoring points. But their defense continued. The defense continued to give up points after that. And I know, I was listening to the Cover 3 guys talk about, they fired the offensive coordinator and UCLA is going to do all this other stuff that they haven't seen before and da-da-da-da-da. Sure. After halftime? You couldn't figure out after halftime? They gave up 15 more points after halftime. 42 points. That's no good. It's no good. Can't do that. Blew the game. And that's terrible. I mean, it's awful for Penn State. And look, we've been talking about it. Drew Aller, stinky, smelly. Shout out to Adam Brenneman for saying, James Franklin's one of the best leaders of college football and leaving out Marcus Freeman. All right, buddy. Good call. Matt Irish says, hit thumbs up for ISD. Thank you for the super chat, Matt. Appreciate your attendance. Hit the like. Hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Rajon says, the D seemed to expect Boise to move the pocket, and they did a good job countering that. Yep. Good call, Rajon. I saw the same thing. Good job by you. Isaac K says, not for nothing, Pitt started a new quarterback and he threw for 323 and 4 touchdowns. We're monitoring. I mean, it was Boston College, who is stinky smelly. They've won one game. They're a bad football team, but we're monitoring. Oh, we're talking about wedding venues on the no Wi-Fi at the wedding. Just despicable. It's 2025. Talking about Ed says Marcus Freeman rarely, if ever, holds a grudge. Charles Faber says Freeman is all class. Does no good to blame the refs after the game. Cardinal Emburrito Thuck. Okay. Notre Dame Final Four confirmed. Monitoring. We continue to monitor the situation. Johnny 2 times says, I knew Freeman wouldn't mention officiating, but bad officiating has already cost this program a loss at home in week 3. Can't afford another screw job this season. Yeah, I mean, but the good news is that, you know, it cost them a loss, yes. But because Freeman is the way that he is, and because, like, he is the type of guy who's going to just push forward and look toward the future, and he's not going to blame, and he's very accountable for everything. Because of that, it allows his team to then move forward the way that they need to, and to, you know, rebound from it and then go and win games. And he sets him up for that. That's why he's a good leader. David Suave. Let's check out these stats. Points per game allowed, 2021 Freeman, 19.7. 2022 Golden, 23 points. 2025 Ash, 23.6. It's trending down for sure. We continue to monitor. We continue to see where they're at. It's trending in the right direction. So I think that's what David's getting at, and that's a good point by David. Thank you for the numbers. Appreciate that contribution to the show. Sergio, Greg, projection on AP and coaches ranking for Notre Dame later today. I mean, it might be 15, right? I mean, around 15. I mean, now you got Penn State with 2 losses, awful loss. You got Texas, 2 losses, awful loss. Texas and Penn State. When does Penn State look good in a football game this year? Can anyone answer that? When has Penn State looked good in a football game in 2025? I was following Spencer Hall. He was talking about how FIU was taking it to him. You know, running game looks terrible. Drew Aller looks terrible. When have they looked good? Texas. When have they looked good against a viable opponent? You know, when have they looked good? You know, people talk about like Notre Dame. Oh, Arkansas stinks, this, that, and the other. Arkansas lost to Memphis. What was it? Very close, right? Let me go check this out. I don't remember the score exactly. Arkansas lost to Memphis 35-41. I mean, Memphis is ranked 4. Arkansas lost to them by 6. Like, how is Arkansas really that much different than like Florida is? And Texas goes to Florida and loses, and Notre Dame goes to Arkansas and gets the coach fired. Coach loses his job. Like, I don't like. When does Texas look good? They've never looked good in any football game. You could say Ohio State scored 7 points. Please clap. I mean, Notre Dame looks like a better football team than Texas does. Notre Dame looks like a better football team than Penn State, clearly. You know? And like I'm not gonna do this. But like there are so many Penn State fans in my mentions on the Twitter machine. And it's just like, bro, handle your own problems, man. Handle your own problems. Oh, man. All right, CFB Hurt says, I don't think he showed up too much on the stat sheet yesterday, but Patelho was a tear out there yesterday. Absolutely. He's showing out. And you feel happy for him because he had the terrible injury last year, and then he had the pec, and you thought it was going to like cost him a major part of his season. And it hasn't. He's bounced back, and he's a major contributor. Like every single week, major contributor. Let's see how many snaps yesterday. 31 snaps, right? 47 for Boubacar. He's getting out there on the edge, making it happen. Three total pressures yesterday, 3 tackles, 3 run stops. That's production. Great production from Jordan Botelho. So you feel really good for him and what he's been able to contribute to the Notre Dame football team. So you feel good for him. If you want to feel good about yourself, get outside, get some work in, get some exercise in. Something a little bit different than you're used to. Maybe give pickleball a chance. And you can do that with H2 Pickleball. Founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill. He's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howells, who's a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans the Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free, and members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. Membership is free, just like subscribing to this channel is free. Free stuff. You love that. Free, good quality. You get a lot of value for things that are free. Get to hang out with Will Howells, and you can do that at the next event for H2 Pickleball, which is a Will Howells Pickleball Clinic on the Friday before the Syracuse game. Members of H2 Pickleball will also get discounted tickets to the Syracuse game. Contact Todd at todd@h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. Sergio says, I guess Iowa State is the one that could stay ahead of Notre Dame for now. They could. It's the Big 12, though. Do people think, how Iowa State's better than Notre Dame? Do people think that? They shouldn't think that. Al Gonzo says Carr's lost yardage came on the 2 kneel down takings. No, he had a run. He had a run before that. That can't be right. He had a run before that. That was like a loss of whatever, 3 or 4. Maybe I don't think they put that in the stats. Al Gonzo. I don't think they do. Because he had other runs prior to the because he had the run where he kept on the RPO that led to the tweet where he said, I don't want him to do that. Then he had the 28-yarder. And then on that same drive on 3rd and whatever it was, they had the quarterback kind of draw counter. So those don't go into the stats. Let me just check the stats real quick to make sure he has 3 rushes. Yeah. So it goes down in the stats. So it says team 3 attempts -3. So those are the kneel downs. So that goes to the team, not the player. So that's that. So, but I'm glad we got that cleared up. That's good for everyone to kind of understand. Thank you, Algonzo, for being in the show. BG says, why doesn't Notre Dame at goal line get under center and hand the ball off? Okay. So I talked to Jamie about this after the game, and neither of us like the concept of putting Carr, like faking the ball to Carr, because you're not giving it to him. No one really believes that. So they're keying on Jeremiyah Love. The funny thing is that if Jeremiyah Love just puts his head in and then bounces it outside, he'll walk into the end zone. And in the failed 4th down against 6 A&M, if he stays inside, it'll be an easy first down. So I think part of the problem is that on the plays, when you just break them down, on the tape or whatever, if Jeremiyah Love reads it right, it's a touchdown or it's a first down and it's good to go. So on that front, the going under center, going in wildcat, leprechaun, whatever you want to call it, on that front, it's going fine. It's the concept of you're doing something that I don't like conceptually, and it's not working. So stop doing the thing that I don't like conceptually. And maybe Jeremiyah Love isn't as good reading it out when he's receiving the snap versus just having the ball handed to him. And maybe that's part of the problem, right? And so on that front, you could say, hey, we have a running back who usually makes good reads, who is making poor reads in this one specific scenario. So maybe we just hand it to him like normal, and he can read it out like normal. So that's a possibility as well. So that's something that people need to consider. So good comment by you, BG. I wanted to talk about that. Matt Irish says Notre Dame easily could have had 7 interceptions yesterday. I mean, yeah. I mean, they certainly could have had 5 because the one against or the Jalen Sneed one was called back. So Randall L says it sure seems worth throwing to Fields at least once on a goal line series. Yeah, man, like the fades are there. You know, like there was a question on Irish Sports Daily about slants. And look, those are there too, but throw it up to him. It just doesn't seem like it's been covered. It doesn't seem like it's been covered. It seems like the pass has been overthrown or underthrown or whatever. I don't know that. Yeah, like I don't know that on a fade or a go ball, Malachi Fields has actually been covered yet this year. So that's something. Johnny 2 times said J-Love pulled the skateboard trick mid-move on a hurl yesterday and transitioned to a hurdle fake out to leaping Spartan kick. What's funny is like of all the penalties that were thrown yesterday, I can't believe Jeremiyah Love didn't get like a personal foul penalty for that. Of all the things that were called. CFB Hurt says Penn State's loss is multiple times worse than ours to NIU. I mean, so UCLA was terrible, awful. It was on the road. But also it came off of a loss for them. Like Notre Dame's came after a win. So like if Penn State had beaten Oregon and then gone to lose, it's like it would have been funny, but it's like, yeah, it was a letdown. But they beat Oregon, and Oregon's good. So like that matters, right? Like they would make that trade. Beating Oregon and losing to UCLA rather than losing to Oregon and beating UCLA, but so that's what makes it worse. It's like you also just lost. So, I mean, Jason Warnock says, only problem is Knowles has the resume. Still can't figure out what Ash has ever done. He wasn't the DC in 2014. I'm not making a comparison between the two in terms of they should have done X, Y, Z, or they should. I'm not making a comparison argument, but what I'm basically saying is like, Knowles has a track record for sure. He's a better hire. No one's going to look at James Franklin and be like, you blew it hiring Jim Knowles. Like, no. I'm just saying, like, they gave up 42 points to one of the worst offenses in college football. 42 points. I mean, it'd be like if Notre Dame gave up 7 points or scored 7 points against Arkansas's defense. Like, that's what it would be. Don't forget Arch Manning. Yeah, I'm kind of catching up on comments. So these are a little bit behind in terms of when they were sent in. I'm kind of catching up. Like this is 10 minutes ago. Matt Lee says if Irish continue to make minor defense adjustments and win these next 2 games, I think they go 10-2 with the week's second half schedule. I agree, Matt. The Navy game looms because that's Chris Ash against Navy. He's never seen it. You got to lean heavily on the staff there. Early OFD top 20 from Greg. Nah, I can't do that, Robert. I got to get prime for my boys. Michael Hahn says Penn State has 0 Power 4 wins. They're a disgraceful program. Robert Halicki says ejected. That's part of my segment on OFD top 20. I ejected them last week. I might eject them again. Just for fun. Sergio says Brett McMurphy has Notre Dame at 13. Could see it. And once again, all of the conjecture following last week. Last week was a bad week because Notre Dame lost their resume and they lost this, that, and the other. Waste of energy, a waste of a conversation. Because Penn State loses to UCLA and Texas loses to Florida. And all of a sudden, there's a bunch of teams that are going to have 2 losses. Waste of time. Envy Irish says, nobody is fooled by the Wildcat with Carr out wide or motioning to the side. I'm fine with a direct snack to Love, but bring in a blocker so it's not 10v11. So the interesting thing is when they go in motion, and I showed this on film, and I put it on irishsportsdaily.com. I showed this on film. When they motion out Carr, it takes someone out of the box. Like he is basically used as a blocker just from being out there. Like 2 times Texas A&M took a linebacker out of the box to cover CJ Carr. So in that sense, like it's a net positive. If Notre Dame will take the trade of CJ Carr goes out here just to stand there, and we will use Jeremiyah Love in the run game if you're going to move a linebacker. Like Notre Dame will take that. So, but when they put him in the backfield and they do the thing with like, I'm going to fake give to him. I mean, maybe they could throw it, but it's like if you're throwing it too, then maybe just run it. Like maybe just like doing all that hocus pocus, maybe just snap the ball to CJ Carr and have him throw it. So Isaac K says, I think it's worth exploring Minchie on the field in short yardage if you aren't going to throw it anyway. So I agree with you. Here's the thing. It's week 5. I feel like they would have done it already. I think it would have had to have been installed immediately. And they didn't. Jabon Payne, Robert Hallecky. Jabon Payne. Matt Lee says that close Miami loss is making the Irish look better and better with how they have blown out every other opponent. Yeah. Just stop them. What are they ranked if you stop a 4th and 11? 5, 6. Stop a 4th and 11, guys. I was standing right there in the end zone too. It was such a great moment. Oh well. Vamos Irish says, thank you, Oscar, for being here. Joining very late. Can I get a hell yeah? Go Irish. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Which O-line would be the best to use as a running back, a la Bama? Oh, gosh, that's such a good question. Which O-lineman? Which O-lineman? Maybe Gerby? You know what? No, Will Black. They threw him a pass. He got thrown a pass in high school. Will Black. Put Will Black out there. Burn his red shirt. And put him on the goal line. Matt says, sorry I'm in late. What were your new thoughts on Ash? New thoughts. Continued thoughts, evolving thoughts on Chris Ash. I just think I think the best way to look at this is he and the staff have figured out their personnel. So I think that was the first thing, is like the personnels have been figured out. So that's important, right? You got to get your best players on the field, and they're doing that on a consistent basis now, which is good. And you get Leonard Moore back. That's also good. I think that he is learning how to best use that personnel and the limitations of his personnel. I think that he was way too passive, especially in the first 2 games, playing zone a bunch and only rushing for basically playing, I don't want to say vanilla, playing in a way that wasn't challenging the defense or the offense, excuse me. The offense wasn't being challenged on a down-to-down basis. And because of that, they were able to get into play calls that were advantageous against what Notre Dame was doing. And the team was on the back foot. And I think the unhappiness that you've kind of heard about around the defense and the defensive personnel is that they felt confused and they felt like there wasn't a ton of rhyme or reason for why they were playing a certain kind of way. And they didn't like it, right? Uncertainty in play calling and game plan leads to uncertainty on the field. And when you're uncertain, what you'd rather do is you'd rather move forward and you'd rather be playing forward. And the team wasn't doing that. So I think that's been figured out. to an extent. That doesn't mean that you're not concerned about USC. It doesn't mean that you're not concerned about Navy, right? Like, you still have to come up with a game plan against USC. You still have to come up with a game plan against like someone like Navy, right? NC State can throw the ball, you know? So that matters, and that they, you know, I don't want to say problem solved because there were problems. But I think it looks a lot better. There's no way to get around it. It looks a lot better on tape, and it looks a lot better in the product that you're watching. Just, I mean, it doesn't take an X and O guru to know they're playing better defense. You know, you don't need to be, you know, a genius in X's and O's to know, and you don't need all 22 tape to know. Dan Orlovsky. You don't got to be Dan Orlovsky to understand that. Ed says, can Love throw a pass? He seems to think so. Maybe. But there you go. Will Black. Well, I envy Irish. Good call. Sergio says Notre Dame opens minus 22.5 versus NC State. Yeah, I mean, I think NC State's got a bad defense. They got a bad defense. And like, if you look at this you look at Notre Dame's team now on their defense, and you feel like, okay, like they can get stops. They can get stops. And that's dangerous for teams. Randall L says, thank you for the super chat. Says, thanks for another great morning after show. Love the morning after show. I love talking to the fans. I love talking to the people who take in our content and getting your thoughts and responding to your thoughts and answering questions. I love this show. It's very fun for me to do. Sergio says, NC State best defender injured ankle versus Vatek is out this week versus Notre Dame. Unfortunate. Hate to see that. You want teams at their best. You don't like people getting hurt. Thank you, Sergio. Michael Hahn says, even though I believe Miami played better against Notre Dame, if it weren't for a lack of aggressiveness by Schuler on what should have been a pick and an incredible catch, maybe a catch of the year, Notre Dame wins. Yeah, I mean, there were definitely Miami made the plays in that game. Not just that one, but other ones. They made the plays. Obviously, the tipped interception where that works out for them. You know, they did the things they had to do, and that's a good win for them. But they're, you know, obviously they're a good team, right? They're not a paper tiger. They beat up on FSU pretty good. CFB Hertz says FSU above Notre Dame is fair. They have a 14-point win over Alabama. Yeah, they do. I mean, they got Miami at home, and it was like 28-3 or whatever it was. Like that's a little unbecoming, right? I mean, they were getting dominated in that game. They came back and made it closer, but you know, it was never like tied. You know, so that's I don't know. It doesn't really bother me because these things will take, you know, these things will adjudicate themselves as the season goes on, right? Notre Dame keeps winning. I'm sure FSU, if they keep winning, then they'll make it, you know, it kind of doesn't matter to me where teams are ranked, right? I'm not gonna quibble about that stuff. Brian Haney said, what up, Jamie? I am Greg. Jamie is Jamie. But you're asking what's your win total? I mean, I'll pick them to win every game, barring some kind of injury or something. I mean, Notre Dame's better. Notre Dame's better than every team they're going to play. CFB Hertz says 100% Greg. Personally, I couldn't care less about rankings at this point of the season, except PSU eject those funds. Yeah, so like it's funny. I was talking to Brendan of OSD, or not Brendan. I was talking with them and Josh, and they were upset about Texas's ranking or whatever. This was last week, so yesterday, and I was in agreement with Brendan. Like, I don't really care about Texas because Texas will get taken care of. It doesn't bother me. Like, Penn State does this every year, right? Where they have no track record of beating anyone who's good. Like, every year they do this. They play 2 tough games. They lose them. And they win all the other ones. And it's like, okay, you're a 5 seed. Great. Congratulations. It's like, why? Why are they a 5 seed? They don't win any. They don't beat the good teams ever. Last year they beat Illinois 21-7. And that was like their great win. Like, they stink. They're stinky. And people like fluff them. Like, oh, Penn State's ranked number 2. Why? Like, you have you had a 4-game run-up to the biggest game of your season at home. A 4-game run-up. And they spit the bit. Down 17-3 in the fourth quarter. You know, and they made their little furious rally or whatever, but like, dude, be better. Be better. Disgusting. People still fluff them. People still fluff. Vamos Irish says, when is the last time Notre Dame has lost to a mascot not ending in S? Wolfpack going down. Hard hitting from Oscar there. We appreciate that. Oh, now everyone's talking about it. Marshall, yikes. Stanford, yikes. Yikes. Vamos Irish says he lives in prime Penn State territory and no one believes in the team. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They're terrible. Awful team. Awful program. All right. We can end it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, please hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so whenever it is we go live. We'll be back on Power Hour tomorrow with Mike and Jamie, and then Hit and Hustle on Tuesday with me and Jamie as well. And then we're on to NC State. So have a good rest of your day, everyone. Have a good Sunday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Keep hitting and hustling.